Hello and welcome of course to another build in Forza Horizon 5, this time for the older Mazda RX-7, still the FD shape but the 1997 car. Again, as I've said before, it's a disclaimer, it's not a purist car, doesn't even have a Rotary anymore because we're just working for performance. So we've got the V8 engine swap, gives you the most power and torque to work with, all-wheel drive in terms of putting the power down, twin turbo, of course, extracting the most power from that engine. I would not recommend the wide arch kits, because as cool as they can look, Pikes Peak style, you will lose performance on those, especially top end, which is a shame. As far as the aero, I would recommend going for what I have, which is kind of the skirt selection, because that will give you some extra speed as well, but that's down to you, you don't have to do that. You want racing slick tyres, of course you could go for drag if you're just looking for straight line performance. You want to widen the tyres front and back, of course increase the track width as well, front and rear. As far as the rims, that's down to you as far as style. And of course, incidentally, if you want this tuned straight on the car as it is, then you can use this share code to find it. As far as power, literally just fit everything. That's the simplest way of saying it under the engine section. As far as the platform, racing brakes, of course, racing suspension, fully upgrade the anti-roll. You want the race roll cage as well, and the full weight reduction also. Then, finally for the drivetrain, this is where things have changed a little bit since I built this tune. It's still just as fast as it was, it's got a 6-speed setup, which is the stock gearbox, but now that we have the option of the 4-speed drift transmission, you could technically make it simpler, and a little bit quicker for acceleration as well actually, so I'll leave that down to you. If you want to fit that one, you could make it even quicker than it is, but sometimes a 6-speed can give you a bit more versatility, so really that one's down to you. Race driveline, of course, and finally the race diff are also what you want to go for there. So that's it for the build itself. Like I said, you can get it straight on the car if you don't want to do it yourself. But then for the tuning, we've got 31 PSI for the tyres. You could put that up a little bit if you wanted to, maybe 32, 33. And as far as the specs in the bottom left, you can see the kind of performance that we're running with, in other words. As far as the transmission though, for the ratios, the final drive is set as low as it can go. Then for individual gears, 4, 2.7, 2, 1.55, 1.25 and 0.9, so a pretty long sixth. Then as far as the alignment, I've gone for 2 degrees of camber for the front and the back, just to give it a bit more stability. Then neutral toe and 5 degrees of caster. Anti-roll is on 40 and 35 as you can see. Springs on 120, 130, and I've evened out the ride height to 6.9, front and back. Dampers are on 12, then 7 and 8. No aero, of course, we're not running a rear wing and I would not recommend it. As far as the brakes, I haven't touched those. I know different people like to change up those, so just go for whatever you personally like. And as far as the diff, I'm running a pretty aggressive setup, 100% on the acceleration, 0 for decel. If you don't quite like that, maybe boot up your decel to about 10%. Give that a try. Likewise with the centre split, I've gone for quite a bit of grip on the front end still, with a 70% rear bias. If you want it to be even more tail happy though, and a little bit more nimble at higher speeds, then try it on 80%. But that's it for the tune. Now of course we'll take it out on the street to see what it can do. So if you do decide to use this build on the RX-7, of course it will raise some eyebrows. It's got a V8 engine, it doesn't have the cool looking body kit. You know, it's not ideal, but as I've said with a number of my builds, most of them in fact, they're about performance. Really good handling, really good grip, really good acceleration, and really good top speed, all blended. So it's not perfect at anything, but it's pretty damn good at everything. So you have to make some sacrifices there when it comes to extracting the most out of a car. If you do decide to use this build, you'll definitely give your friends a good run for their money, that's for sure, even if they are driving stuff like Supras and Skylines. So if you decide to use the build, I hope you have a ton of fun with it. Of course you can find it on the storefront in the game, as I said. And if you're new to the channel and want to check out other JDM builds, supercar builds, various others that I've done, you can click this playlist on the screen to see all the other tunes that I've already got on YouTube. And of course check out my gamer tag within the game, Corrupted Disc, to see literally hundreds of other builds that I've done. But until next time, I'll see you then, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.